Now I come to the economy. After the economy, I will make only one point about the most serious, I will not say omission, but that is something which I would plead, and I am sure the Prime Minister, with great concern on these matters, will take that into account about the management of the economy and so on. Sir, you have given me an opportunity to speak after each budget, and the fact of the matter is that because of the financial mismanagement of the last 5 years, in particular of the last 2.5 years, our deficit has reached such a stage that the Prime Minister's Economic Advisory Council itself had to say that now there is little scope for further fiscal stimulus packages. The second thing is that we remained in denial too much of last year, and when we started the remedial measures, by now most of the monetary policy instruments which could be used have already been used to the maximum extent. So we don't have possibilities there. Therefore, my request is that the government should act in time to control the situation. Thirdly, the main stimulus that you can give today is in the more rapid execution of projects. This is the problem. This is one of the great differences between India and China. If you see, they give 5 remedies on execution. First, a delivery monitoring unit in the Prime Minister's office to monitor flagship programs and iconic projects and report on their status publicly. Actually, I do not know what this new office will do. There has actually been a committee under the Prime Minister himself to expedite and monitor all major infrastructure projects. They say suitably institutionalized quarterly reporting of flagship programs. These are all on pages 12 and 13. Sir, we have so many reports. There is a quarterly report from the Administrative Reforms Department which lists the cost and time overruns on every single central project, but no consequences followed. The next is strengthening public accountability of flagship programs by certain creation of an independent evaluation office at an arm's distance from the government, catalyzed by the Planning Commission. I do not understand what this arm's distance from the government, catalyzed by the rubber stamped and habitual legitimizer of the commission, of the government, that is the Planning Commission, means third, stabilizing mechanisms for performance monitoring and performance evolution in government on a regular basis. I do not know what this sentence means. Does it mean that mechanisms will be established on a regular basis, or that monitoring will be on a regular basis? Thus far, the records of all the governments have been to establish mechanisms on a regular basis. Then they say 5 annual reports to be presented by the government. If you see what he said and did in the budget, in every single thing he has made provisions for better monitoring, more reports, and so on. Sir, let me come to the management of economy. The honorable members may well recall that they have been witnessing 3 stimulus packages from the government in the past 6 months or so, but what has been its impact on the Indian economy? I would have been happy even if the effect had been minimal or worse, still negative. But what I understand from my economist friends is that the government's diagnosis of the entire crisis had been completely average. Naturally, the prescriptions has been out of date with the requirement of the day. The age-old prescription for any downturn in growth has been to ensure that the government of the day steps in and increases the spending. This has been referred to in the President's address too as proposed counterproductive efforts to deal with the extant situation. I have 2 reservations on this. Firstly, any substantial increase in the expenditure of the government at this point in time is sure to increase the fiscal deficit. Effectively, this borrowing program of the government crowds out the private initiative and hence runs counter to the private initiatives of the citizens of this country and not counterproductive to that of the recession faced by the country. In effect, we would be left with only a growing debt for the next generation, not prosperity for them. Secondly, elementary mathematics teaches us that anything multiplied by 0 is 0. This type of policies are acceptable when the government's expenditure reaches the intended target, not otherwise. When the people in the government confess that not more than 5% of the expenditure reach the people of this country and look around helplessly, I am not sure as to what government means by such vague intentions, or in the absence of any clear-cut program. Is vagueness a deliberate strategy? Sir, on poverty, we have seen all kinds of varied numbers. The Planning Commission's last estimate on poverty suggested that poverty numbers in India have tended to come down to just 260 million people last year. ये कौन वर्ड के 2D पार्ट का 11 नंबर है, 828 वर्ड है और 80 की स्पीड है इसकी। अब आप एक केसी से लिखेंगे 80 पे, अगर आपने ये अच्छी नहीं लिखी तो लास्ट में केसी से 80 पे बोल देता हूँ।